Every one of you for attending our program tonight. Inshallah, we'll be starting with the recitation of the Holy Quran, which will be recited by our dear brother Haj Nahal Naqvi. Salu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Yeah, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ما كان على النبي من حرج فيما فرض الله له سنة الله في الذين خلوا من قبل سنة الله في الذين خلوا من قبل وكان أمر الله قدرا مقدورا. الذين يبلغون رسالات الله ويخشونه ولا يخشون أحدا إلا الله وكفى بالله حسيبا. ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين وكان الله بكل شيء عليما. وكان الله بكل شيء عليما. ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين وكان الله بكل شيء عليما وكان الله بكل شيء عليما صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات الله
Jazakallah khair jaza. There's Haj Nahal. Ahsant. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless you and your family for that beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Before we introduce our respected guest speaker for tonight, we'd kindly like to call up the president of the Idara-e-Jaferia, Dr. Ghulam Abbas, to say a few words. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين مبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد Respected scholars, brothers, sisters, I would like to welcome you tonight. This is our new initiative to engage our youth, families, and mashallah, these programs are open for everybody. We will be doing once a month. And inshallah, next speaker, we have Sister Barak Hussain from Canada. She is an excellent Muslim mental health counselor. She will be coming on 15th of February. So we want to build a community that is a God-centered community. So you will see me coming on this stage and saying 3 words in next 2 years, inshallah. So number 1 is a God-centered. When I say God-centered, all our youth and mashallah, the families, that's what we have to establish. And we want to learn this from the life of Bibi Zainab alayhi salam. You have heard one famous saying that she said, I did not see anything but beauty. But there are even stronger words that she said when she went to see the body of his brother Hussein. She said one beautiful word. That tells how God-centered she was. She said, "Oh Allah, please accept this sacrifice from us." This is what truly means what God-centered are we. So we want to build a community who is God-centered. Second thing that I strongly believe, we all are waiting for the Imam of our time. We say, Labbaik ya Mahdi. We should be truly reflecting that we are waiting for the Imam of our time. If our Imam gets our kind of report every week, so we need to do those things that makes our Imam feel happy what we are doing in this world. And third, we want to build a community. There's a lot of mutual respect for each and everyone, inshallah. So without any further delay, please support us for those programs on our website. As I said, in the month of February, inshallah, next is Ramadan, and after Ramadan, we will be bringing another amazing kind of such programs. So without any further delay, I will ask Brother Jafar to introduce our tonight's the guest speaker. Thank you so much. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad bulandtar salawat.
Thank you so much. Without further ado, I'd like to briefly introduce our guest speaker for tonight, Brother Ibrahim Mohseni. Brother Ibrahim is a dedicated Muslim community mentor with a passion for fostering spiritual development, teamwork, and leadership skills among the youth. Brother Ibrahim actively supports various initiatives including archery, calligraphy, wrestling, and poetry for all ages. Brother Ibrahim strives to lead by example to instill core values of compassion, integrity, and service to the next generation. And inshallah, we very much look forward to his presentation tonight. And we kindly request everyone to please welcome Brother Ibrahim with a loud salawat upon Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm very honored to be invited here for many reasons, and I briefly want to go over some of those reasons. This center is unique for many, many reasons, and it's my honor, and I'm humbled to be here. I'm humbled here because of all of you all are here and you take your deen so seriously. I'm immensely honored because of the leadership that we have. The eminence of our scholar here is truly a unique blessing that I believe this community understands. And we cannot overemphasize the mountain which our beloved Sheikh Jalil is. And I mean this from absolute sincerity. We are absolutely blessed to have such a scholar within our community and to be leading this specific community. Can we please, one loud, very loud, sincere salawat for our blessed Sheikh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Indeed, a community without a sheikh, a righteous sheikh, is often misled. And we are blessed to have the guidance of our eminent scholar amongst us. May Allah preserve him. I would also like to extend my thank you and my deep, sincere appreciation to the brothers that allowed me to be here. Again, Dr. Abbas, I sincerely thank you. The topic of tonight, this evening, is a topic which there's much confusion about within our community and the greater American society. That is, what is it to be a man? That is it, what are the traits that define a man? Yes, within Islam, we have many models. There's many models. And of course, we have the best model in the sunnah and the character of the purified, pure insan kamil, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Likewise, when it comes to the discussion of what it means to be a man, how to become a man, it's unquestionable that this is defined in how the Rasulullah raised and brought up the greatest after him, which is of course Sayyid Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So why is it that we're faced with this conundrum within our community? And I need to preface it. I will speak candidly, and I ask that you forgive me. Any shortcoming from this evening is 100% my fault, and I gladly will take the comments. Anything positive is 100% not from me. And although I may speak a bit candid in the next 30 to 40 minutes, I want to relay to everyone to be hopeful. To be hopeful. I'm going to speak a bit candid, but this is a community that overcomes challenges. I mean specifically Idara at this point when I say that. This community. Yes, the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt, we overcome challenges. When I say specific, I mean this community. And I will give some examples that you all know better than me. So again, please be hopeful and don't take some of the words the wrong way. And forgive my shortcomings. What is it to mean be a real man within this community, within American society, within Western society? It means who has, for example, the most money. That's the definition of a man. That's deluding us, young people. We do not live in a vacuum, we don't live on an island, and we're not immune from what's happening in the greater society. We must understand this, regardless of how conservative I am, and regardless where you're at this point. The entertainment world, the social media world has a positive and a negative, and that's the negative is coming directly at your thinking, at your identity. What does it mean to be a man? If you ask some people commonly, it's how much money I have. What does it mean to be a man? You have to be absolute strong, muscles. What does it mean to be a man? He's the one with all the women. That's the man, right? All of these, from an Islamic standpoint, none of these are the defining criteria to be a man, right? If you could, my beloved brother, go to slide 3. So after this is slide 2, could we go to slide 3, right? So the question, inshallah, it should be a question. It says, what is your worldview, inshallah? So this is the question, my beloved friends. What is your worldview? In a lot of ways, if we asked around, we would likely have various answers. But again, I want to speak very straightforward. There's 3 dominating worldviews within the world right now. One can be called traditional worldview. The other is a modernist worldview. And the third, which is the most dominant, most popular, is called postmodernism. Brother, why are you telling me about postmodernism? Because it is literally the philosophy behind every music that's produced today. Every movie, every form of entertainment is the philosophy behind it. That is, those creating it operate with this philosophy. What is the core tenet of postmodernism? It states that truth is completely ambiguous. You have a truth, he has a truth, they have a truth. Truth is Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Forgive me. This is what happens when you have a big beard. Well, alhamdulillah. So, postmodernism is the dominating world philosophy. Why do I care, brother? Because none of us is free or has a shield to this philosophy. None of us. None of us have a shield to this philosophy. There is a shield, obviously, we're going to talk about. But you need to first and foremost understand those who control these various industries, they have an operating philosophy. They have an operating philosophy. They have a worldview. And those who really control the world in these various forms of entertainment, they operate from a religious philosophy. Postmodernism is used for the masses, my beloved friends. So what is, if we could go to the next slide. I said we have 3 categories. And my beloved brother, I'm sorry, if we could go to the 4th slide. Yes, if we could go here. So, traditionalism, modernism, postmodernism. I'm going to give a summary because we want to talk about the plague that's plaguing us. Modernism, which came about, I'm giving you a synopsis. The synopsis of modernism states, many of us are familiar with us. Our fathers and our grandfathers, this is what they were indoctrinated with or exposed to, which we still hold true to today. It says, I have to see it to believe it. The ultimate truth is science. And is there a middle ground in Islam for this type of a worldview? There is, right? Right? We don't deny science. We don't deny what can be quantified. However, postmodernism, where everything is willy-nilly, there's no truth, there is no middle ground, my beloved friends. There's no middle ground. From the Islamic worldview, our Islamic worldview, there's no middle ground with postmodernism. If you could go to the next slide, my beloved brother. Right? Here. Right? The underlying ism, as I said here, behind Western pop culture, everything you watch and see is affected by this ideology. I'm sorry, if we could go to the next slide. My beloved brother. Yes. See, no ultimate authority. This is why everything we talk about now in Western pop culture, gender, you can, multiple genders. Your identity is fluid. This is a social construct. Islamic standpoint is absolutely not. Gender is defined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Gender, male and female, is a metaphysical state, metaphysical reality. It's not fluid, right? And all of these various topics. Why? We believe in ultimate authority rooted in the Quran and the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Next slide, please, my beloved brother. I'm sorry. This slide I want you all to look at and pay attention to. And this is a bit historic. You're saying, why is this brother presenting this to me? right? If you look at these dates, because the state of men is impacted from the history which has gotten us here. The Rothschild family, a very famous Zionist family which does control world banking, also controls mass media, and this is not my words, right? 1798, my brother. Oh, thank you. Oh, excellent. May Allah bless this brother. Thank you. Right? It's understanding our history to say, how did we get here, and who is promoting the dominant worldview today? If you don't know what your worldview is, you're being impacted directly by pop culture. Again, if you do not know what your worldview is, with yaqeen, with certainty, you're impacted by postmodernism, my beloved friends, which is saying everyone has a truth. Everything has a truth. Everything is moving, is sliding, is changing. It's completely opposite of Islam, which has a solid foundation. Important time date I want to highlight to you, my beloved friends, 1492. As you know, our history is completely lied to, right? What do they say, 1492, Columbus sailed ocean blue, right? This is a nonsense, my beloved friends. In 1492, the city of Granada in the first week of January was taken over. You can say a major wealth transition occurred at that time in the amount of hundreds of billions of dollars, knowledge, libraries, and maps. On the Nina Pinta Santa Maria were who? Muslims with the Muslim maps from Muslim Spain. What did this in turn do? This is the turning point, my beloved friends, of who is dominating the worldview and pushing their worldview. Because ultimately, when you have various empires, right? Oh, I did that, right? The white man dominating the world. How did this happen, my friends? Which still impacts the world we today, right? Africa is being split by European nations. Colonialism is still happening in Africa and across the world. Subservience. It's because when they got to 1492, when they came to the Americas, they had this unlimited amount of wealth. And who was their number one enemy? They wanted to get to India, right? That's what they say. It was the Muslim world that was right in the middle of them. And they did fight the Muslim world, and we see the results that we're in. Again, you're saying, brother, what does this have to do with us? It's leading up because worldview is the crown of your identity, of your thinking. Proper thinking of who I am and how I fit into the picture is paramount. Who are these important men? Sayyid Jamaluddin, this man was a mountain of a man who went from everywhere, from Africa to Asia to India to Europe. He ordered the assassination of kings. He ordered the overthrow of princes. And he sought to find a middle ground between Islam and modernism. He was staunchly anti-Zionist and staunchly anti-British because what? He saw they're pushing their worldview into the Muslim lands. His top students, again, we may disagree on some issues of fiqh, but these are respectable people we have to respect for what they sought to do. Muhammad Abdu, his top student, Rashid Rida, and his top student was who? Hassan al-Banna, who started Muslim Brotherhood, which still exists today. What did these brothers try and do, even though there were shortcomings? They sought to find a middle ground to this intense domination of the worldview of the West, my friends. That's what they sought to do. I'm sorry. Oh. Okay. So the current crisis. Now we're getting to our current crisis. What exists within our community? Not just our community, the larger society. There's two extremes that exist. Our worldview is very weak. The dominant worldview is what? Everyone has a truth. Everything is fluid. When a man wants to be a man, that's toxic masculinity, which is a false statement we're going to get to. There's no such thing. We have an extreme of, I'm going to say, mama boy crisis, right? A weak male who's not a man. And we have another extreme, dictator. To be a man, I must be fierce with my wife. The mother of my child, I must be fierce. My children, I must be a dictator. These are two extremes which are prominent in our community, which naturally give rise to what? Marital problems, right? Why is this? We need to talk about. The continued crisis of young men not being prepared for marriage is leading to what? Is to our crisis, which is sisters are struggling to find men to get married to. A line that I hear often. Young brothers tell me, there's no good sisters. Where are the good sisters at? And our blessed Sheikh, I'm sure he's heard this many times. Where are the good sisters? Excuse me for being blunt. We know what is happening right now. When there's the standard for sisters is here. The standard for our sons is here. And we think, because of a topic which I'm not going to go into now, okay, we need to have this, we have to guard our women here, keep the standard here, and what do we have? And not just in America, all across the Muslim world. Sisters are doctors, lawyers, they're the top of their class. And the brother, he's struggling to get out of his mom's basement. He's struggling to get off video games, and he's 25 or 35 years old, talking about, I want to be married. Married to who? Married to who? Married to who? This term, day youth, I call it die youth, right? But it has many meanings. The most, and our beloved Sheikh knows better than me, it man who lacks the ghairah for his wife. The man who lacks the ghairah for his wife is called day youth, right? But this encompasses a weak, what I say, mama boy, excuse the language, right? And what do we see across many communities? This is a general statement. We see brothers are missing in action. We're in a crisis. We're in a crisis right now. All Muslim communities in a crisis. The greater society is in a crisis. And again, I started with our thinking and our worldview because that is the very beginning, my beloved friends. I'm going to go to the next slide, inshallah. I'm sorry, bro. Do I point it to you? Okay. I'm going to go back one. Okay. Clarifications, right? This is an important one I wanted to talk about. Toxic masculinity is a false term. These are the terms of this ideology which are completely fake, which have many of us confused. We're so backwards in our thinking. When a man is a man, whoa, this toxic masculinity. Why is this false from an Islamic standpoint? Because a rajul is completely balanced. Rajul cannot be toxic. Rasulullah, Imam Ali were completely balanced rajul. And also, if you say the word toxic femininity, right, people say that's absurd. Alpha male theory, red pill movement. What is this? This is a response from the greater society trying to reckon with, for simple terms, emasculation of the role of men. Emasculation of the role of men, right? Which comes from where, again, connected back to the worldview, postmodernism, which is doing this. Women, you should be leaders. Women, you should take all the roles. Women, you don't need to be at home. Let the man stay at home, right? Wrong thinking links to wrong results. Why is there a decrease in marriages and birth rate across every country? Bad ideas. Role misplacement. And I put on here, strong single mother. They also say in America, strong single black woman, right? You'll hear this. Why is this a problem? Of course, women are strong and we respect this. The amount of women who have to be strong because the men are missing in action is a crisis. Some people say, well, we're immune to it. We're Muslims. We're immune to this. No. I hate to say what I'm getting ready to say. How many Muslim brothers have I met, unfortunately, in various communities? Yeah, I left my first wife with the kids. I left them. I started a new life. This is a crisis. This is big time ajib. This is big time ajib. There's no basis for such behavior, but it's the crisis that we're in, So what is the answer, my beloved friends? What is the answer? I can speak frankly. The answer is following the direct line of Amir al-Mu'mineen. What is that line to? Rasulullah. But being very specific. When we say al-Futuwwah, we're talking about the Fatah. Who is the Fatah? The Fatah is our hero. The Fatah is who every young man should be emboldened to be. And it relates at the epicenter of when we say La Fatah ila Ali. We are talking about not this external dimension of Imam Ali. We're talking about inner reality of what? His akhlaq, his inner moral power and character, which came from the perfect Rasulullah. This is what the sword represents, my beloved friends. It's not about a matter of, I have the strongest muscles, I have the biggest bank account, I'm charismatic with women, a'udhu billah, right? All of this nonsense. It's who has the beauty of akhlaq, your inner moral, spiritual character. The answer is al-Futuwwah. Al-Futuwwah is related to fitiyan, to fata, to fatwa, right? The idea of Futuwwah is how the Rasulullah raised Imam Ali. Can we recall? Rasulullah had Imam Ali when he was a little baby and crafted him, gave him tarbiyah. The entire tarbiyah is built on how the Rasulullah raised Imam Ali. Every Muslim is a witness to this. Every Muslim attests to this. Alhamdulillah. The answer is al-Futuwwah, my beloved friends. So, as we discuss, there's two extremes that we're facing with. The aggressor and the mama's boy. What do they have in common? Emotional instability and lack of emotional intelligence. When we talk about the word adab, which is rooted, is a part of akhlaq, adab is a great word. We often think manners, but it encompasses emotional intelligence. Rasulullah and Imam Ali responded perfectly to every single situation they encountered. That's part of adab. That's part of adab. Middle way as men, upright Muslim men, again, is what? This middle route where we are not extreme. We are not extremists, my beloved friends. This is the route that we're seeking to follow. Okay. Yes. As I said, the core is what? The akhlaq, makaramul akhlaq. It's the inner process of actualizing and refining our spirituality in that process of taskiyatul nafs. It is achieving a high level of emotional intelligence. And as we know, my beloved friends, I'm up here with a long beard, a thobe, I think I'm special. I can fake all of this all day long. But what you cannot fake is the character of imitating and actualizing the characteristics of a Rasulullah. The inner akhlaq cannot be faked. It cannot be faked. Again, I praise our beloved Shaykh and ask that Allah preserve him, because throughout the many years of knowing him, every time I look to our blessed Shaykh, for me personally, I think of someone that I know who has a high level of akhlaq. That reminds me of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Immense amount of power and inner spiritual power. This is what the definition of rajul is, manhood. High level of emotional intelligence, which means what? I know how to respond to any given situation. Next slide, thank you. This is what we're facing, my friends. This is what we're facing. An onslaught on you every time you leave this center. This is what you're facing. Your social media, the movies, the music, at work, here. This is what you're facing. And you have to choose to uphold your worldview adamantly. Next slide, please. And to make it in very simple terms. As we said, thinking in your worldview is what controls your nafs and protects your heart, right? Aql. If you have the wrong thinking, the only way is to get the right thinking. And we have to be humble. This is what this is about, these opportunities to be humble enough to say, if I have gaps in my understanding, I need to fill it. I need to take classes. I need to arrange courses with my sheikh. I need to reach out and fill in my gaps of understanding, regardless of our age. I'm sorry, brother. Next slide. I'm so sorry. Thank you. We're going to go to the next slide. What is Islamic worldview? Really quickly. I'm going to jump forward here, right? Very specific. We have in Islam called Arkan al-Din, Arkan al-Iman. These Arkan al-Din and Arkan al-Iman, all Muslims agree upon. I'm coming very specific to our Usuluddin and our Furu'uddin. All of us probably know these. But my beloved brothers and sisters, you have to have the conviction of your Usuluddin. You have to have conviction of this reality, right? To benefit from the Furu. And again, if we have gaps, I have gaps myself, I seek to take classes. I seek mentorship, which we'll talk about more. If you don't understand why, and we'll talk about this, we don't give the why to our young children. Why do I believe in a God I don't see? Just believe. Why is there a heaven and hell? Just there is. You have to go in this society to the why, because they will be questioned about it. the minute they leave. The younger they learn the why, the better. This is our worldview, my beloved brothers. We're not going to go into it. This is the model that we need to get back to. Many people have a problem with such a model that I'm presenting now. In this model, is it a problem if the sister makes more money than the husband? Absolutely not. Sayyidah Khadija, salamullah, she was incredibly wealthy than the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Was that a problem? Did that come at the manhood of the Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? No, not at all. But this is the model that we are working towards. You're saying, well, what is my model for my family? In simple terms, the man is the leader. The man is the one with the plan. The man without the plan, I'm telling you, it's when you start getting holes in your umbrella. A man who does not have a plan for life, 5 main dimensions in life, this is when holes come in your umbrella, and then it's felt by who? The raindrops go to your wife. And if there's shortcomings in your life, it goes directly to the child, my beloved friends. You have to have a visualization as a man of what my role is. With your various relationships, you have to have a visualization. So, again, as we know, your worldview is controlling essentially what you're doing with your life. So if you're saying, I'm Muslim, I'm good, brother, mashallah, I'm good. And you yourself, we all gonna go home. When you're by yourself, if you do not know what your operating philosophy is with yaqeen, what is it? You could fall into what? Ghafla. And ghafla, my beloved friends, is the reason why someone says, I don't feel spiritual with the salat. I don't feel spiritual with the fasting. I want spirituality, and I don't get it through any of these rituals. MashaAllah. Everything turns into a ritual, mechanical action when you don't have the inner spirit. Inner spirit comes from what you believe, my beloved friends, what you have conviction in. And again, what I'm stating up here is not to have blind conviction. I'm absolutely opposed to this. Answer the why, but we have to do it in the appropriate way, inshallah. Okay. The model for America, right, in many ways, is integration. Integration how? I always tell people in simple terms like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was a blessed man. I feel like we don't give him a lot of credit. Muhammad Ali was so wealthy and had so many opportunities. He could have left the United States and done many great things somewhere else where he did not have to deal with the onslaught of the oppression of America. He chose to stay in America and work to help break down barriers for his community, for the greater community. He did immense for the Muslim American community. And it's integration. Integration with strength. Integration means I maintain my principles, my identity. And Dr. Abbas made a great statement at a conference a few weeks ago. Anyhow, this strength emanates also in how I view myself and interact with this society. When people hit me with questions, well, why about this? Why do you do this? Why do women cover? It's having this confidence in my worldview that I know how to respond comfortably. And this is not something innate. We're going to talk about it. You have to be around mentors. I have to see my mentor actualize this so I can build the confidence up. Inshallah. Inshallah. Go on to the next slide. Sorry, brother. Allah bless you. Istiqama. Istiqama, and our blessed Shaykh, he definitely correct me. This commandment of a Rasulullah to be upright is a commandment, and it's a wajib, my beloved brothers. You cannot give up in the face of adversity. You have to be resilient. Fastaqim kama awart. You're commanded. And the Rasulullah said when this verse hit him, the Sahaba looked at him, Ya Rasulullah, what is it? And he told them this verse. Allah commanded him, you cannot give up, my beloved brothers. Oftentimes we know various people who've overcome challenges and they still have a smile on their face. How do they do it? Their viewpoint of life, their operating philosophy is positive, non-stop positive. And again, what my emphasis, my beloved brothers, is we have the superhero. We have the superheroes, walhamdulillah, and we need to make them our epicenter is our Rasulullah wa Imam Ali alayhi salam and all our A'immah. How did they sustain? Sometimes we hear about these stories and we're like, it's a fairy tale, and I'm thinking Naruto is real. I think these little video games, I'm looking up to them with a lot of seriousness. May Allah guide us. My beloved brothers, what the Rasulullah, what Imam Ali went through is the definition of manhood in the face of intense oppression. You're in your own community getting rocks thrown in your face, and you still have to be steadfast. You have to face disrespect, and you cannot back down, but you can't be too aggressive. By knowing them, we begin to love them. Right? If I ask any of you, most of us here, if you love your mother, if we say something about your mother, it's going to trigger your heart. Right? If I asked you about the Rasulullah, my beloved brothers, do we have the same feelings about Rasulullah? Do we? It's commanded that we have to love Rasulullah more than your mother. It's commanded. You have to. And Rasulullah, authentic, he said, if you want to love Allah, you have to love me. If you want my love, you have to love my Ahlul Bayt. The only way I value and get feelings is if I learn about their life, brothers. If I learn and read about Rasulullah, who I don't see, and I don't have a feeling that encompasses my heart when I read he's crying about an incident, if it does not spark my heart, then that's an indication, my friends, we need to spend more time getting to know this person. You may not believe what I'll say. I've met young brothers who believe in A'immah, but they say they're not sparked when they hear about what happens to Imam Hussein. Ajib. I said, brother, how much do you really know about Imam Hussein? I've had brothers tell me, well, I just went here as a kid, ritualistically, always playing. They were never taught who this Hussein was. They were never taught who A'immah was or Rasulullah to have the feeling, I have to love Rasulullah more than my mother. My beloved brothers, if this is our operating philosophy, if you love Rasulullah more than you love your mother, and then my child, my baby, then I will seek to be istiqamah. I will seek the resilience of this blessed man. I will find resilience in any challenge I face because there was no man oppressed like a Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm sorry, brother, next slide. I'm so sorry. Yes. Imam Ali, this is a very famous quote, right? What does this mean, my beloved brothers? Very fast forward. And are we doing okay on time, Dr. Abbas? Yeah, alhamdulillah. This means, I'm being very specific, we're in the face of postmodernism. It's 2025, my beloved brothers and sisters. The way you were raised back home, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, you cannot raise your child like that here. Why? We all live in suburbia. We all live in nuclear family. None of us have aunts and uncles right outside our door that our children are supervised with that are on the deen of Rasulullah who can correct our children. No, you have non-Muslim neighbors. This means we have to be a step further. And what does a step further mean, my beloved brothers? It means you must create an ambience in your home of love of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, Aliyan Waliullah. You must make this ambience in your home. What does that mean? It means that if my child is doing something wrong, I can't be the dictator. I have to be a man. A man means I swallow my feelings. My wife does something that I don't like, I perceive I don't like. I cannot lash out at my wife. The mother of my children? The mother of my children, when Rasulullah, he had multiple wives, multiple temperaments, and what was he? Never an oppressor. At the same time, I cannot be weak and disengaged from my family. You cannot be weak and disengaged from your family. My beloved brothers, our children, next slide please, our children are like a plant. A plant, if you want it to grow, you need good soil, good sunlight, good water. When you neglect that, your crop does not grow, my beloved brothers. And when we fail in our duties as a community, as a father, as a man, as community, we have not good products. And who's left with the product? It'd be one thing if you forget your child. 9 times out of 10, my beloved brothers, your child comes back to you. I'm talking about in 20, 30, 40, when the challenge and the failures are happening, and they don't know how to respond. And you think about, well, wait. It's back when we spoiled them. It's back when we did not give responsibility to our children. It's back when we didn't put in the time, the sunlight, the soil, the water at the appropriate time. But these are key stages, 5 key stages within the world of al-Futuwwah, right? There's a saying from Imam Ali, which I don't like how it's perceived in some countries, including Iran, where they say from the child 0 to 7, you treat them like a king or a queen. And some people take this literally where There's no rules. There's no responsibility. And you think at 7 years old, you have a little monster, excuse my language. And now I'm going to discipline them. You've created a much difficult challenge for yourself, my beloved friends. Much difficult. You think that Imam Ali did not have discipline for Al-Hassan wal Hussein? You think Rasulullah did not have discipline for Imam Ali? Imam Ali would take food all the way to the mountain by himself. As a child, as a youth, Imam Ali did this, my friends. Today, mashallah, we don't even know how to do zabiha. My Uber Eats, mashallah, is my zabiha. If I talk about zabiha with some brothers, brother, I can't do that. I'm going to eat the food, I love it, but I don't care where it came from. This is not okay. How many of us could go camping, light a fire, right? You're saying, brother, why is this relevant? These are just basic skills that Imam Hassan wal Hussein, Imam Ali, they could do with their eyes closed before they were 7 years old. Before they were 7 years old. And you're saying again, brother, but why? The why is responsibility, my friends, right? So something key. In Islam, again, I really feel insignificant standing here before our blessed Sheikh. May Allah preserve him. Adab comes before ilm. Adab, mannerism, this emotional learning comes before you start teaching the child why. And this occurs between age 2 to 7. You must inculcate this through role modeling. Through role modeling. I tell my son, go take out the garbage. I remember when he was 4 or 5, right? And he didn't know what to do. I had to actually go show him step by step how to take out the garbage, right? How to throw away a plate, how to put up dishes, so on and so forth. You must role model this at home and create an ambiance of learning. The home is a place where you can learn everything. Age 7 to 19, we start giving that intellectual knowledge. What is it? We have to go to why. Again, a lot of times in our culture, how we were raised, no one taught us why. You must believe this, don't ask anything about it. The child goes to college, why do you believe in a God you don't see? I don't, whoa, right? You believe in a heaven and a hell, why? Now, right? They're struck with simple questions they can't answer. This is what the saying of Imam Ali means. Here in this culture, you must give the child the why at the young age. This is what intellectual education means. And very, very important. This is a taboo topic. Forgive me. This is the shortcoming of your brother. Please forgive me. We almost do not talk to our young men about what is naturally happening when their body grows. We actually almost never talk about it. It's a taboo topic, yet it's been happening. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. Figure it out. In this society, when you ignore that conversation, when you ignore the conversation of natural growth of the body, the boys are curious. They need to know. They're going to ask their friends at school. 9 times out of 10, friends at school are going to tell them, and they expose them to what? What? That illicit material that destroys this, that destroys their perception of manhood, of relationship. How many examples can I give you within our community? But this is the greater society. How many grown men are still addicted to this? May Allah guide us. You must. So what's the solution? We have to go beyond the taboo. You have to talk appropriate time, appropriate location with your young men about this. And it has to be a conversation. Why? This is no normal part. And to think that the Rasulullah did not have this conversation with those that he raised is an incomplete understanding of our beloved Prophet who gave us guidance in every area. You must have the conversation and create and build a trust with your child to come to you about the normal feelings they have, normal growth they have, right? Age 10 to 19, we must introduce khidmat, the volunteering and service starting at home. Service starting at home. So now you have the adab, you have the ilm, and now the service at the masjid. How to serve guests, how to volunteer without being told, right? Continuing. We must introduce rites of passage, my beloved friends. As I said, the idea of sending your son right now to go do an overnight task is inconceivable for any father in here, including me. But Rasulullah would have no doubt, and you're saying it's Imam Ali, but that's Imam Ali. Yes, it is Imam Ali. However, the standard for men was a standard for men. We've lost the standard. So we must have rites of passage. What is a rites of passage? A rites of passage in general is when you take young men into the unknown, under the guardianship of men, and you put them through a challenge, and you're there on the other side to congratulate them and welcome as they've achieved that challenge. I'll talk more about this. We conducted a handful of these in Virginia. Most recently on November 30th, we had actually a young man from the Maryland community, 10, 12, and 13. And rites of passage is meant to make, grow some hair on your chest, as they say, right? Physical strength is an obligation. Again, we're not talking about muscles here. The young men who go to the gym and pump the steroids in their body. It's not about that. Healthy is part of the sunnah of Rasulullah. It's part of the sunnah of our Ummah. And self-defense, basic self-defense, you have to know how to handle yourself. We have to, brothers. You have to. Occupational and financial learning, we have to prepare our young men at age 14, 15. You're going to be married. Marriage is your goal. What is a trait, a skill you can learn now that's going to allow you to sustain a wife? Again, oftentimes none of these discussions are happening. We have a 25-year-old young man, he's playing video games in his mom's basement. And mashallah, the parents say, we're going to get him married to solve everything. And the sister gets married and surprise, surprise, mashallah, she doesn't like video games. So, again, the idea is this. Just because you're a male doesn't mean you're a man, right? How many of us have seen big, bulky males, but they're the biggest cowards? In fact, I'll tell you something else. Most men that are incarcerated in prison right now from inner cities, these men are huge. They could break me with their pinky. Their emotional state is that of a small boy. Many of them are raised by what? Single mothers. So they get what? And this is not a diss to women at all, women. But they get the emotional intelligence of a female. The emotional responsiveness of a female, which is not acceptable in society. So when some situation happens, they're ready to snap. And as we know, there's repercussions in our society. Brothers, this is what we're talking about. Being rajul means responding appropriately, having a high level of emotional intelligence to handle any situation. To not be reactionary. Not be reactionary. Alhamdulillah, in this hall, how many blessed examples do we hear from our sheikh? Of our at various stages, that's what we're learning. How to be rajul, how to respond appropriately at all times. You hear the last moments of Imam Hussein alayhi salam's life. I mean, it's a university and a handful of statements, my beloved brothers. Handful of statements. How could, and again, some people say, well, brother, that's because he's the Imam, brother. That's why he was able to do that. No. Yes, he is the Imam. And yes, that is why. But there's a lesson for us, my beloved brothers. You can reach high levels, and that is our standard. Our standard is not these pop culture people. I've had many young men come and tell me, Andrew Tate's and the gentleman from Canada who had the nervous breakdown. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? The professor? Peterson, right? This man is my role model. I've learned so much. I laugh, astaghfirullah, I laugh, but I'm very concerned with this. It's a real problem. Our standards and our role models is Rasulullah, is the Prophet, is our shayuk, our arifs that we have in our community, my beloved brothers. What requires of us? It requires us to use our thinking, to read about these sources, to be with our shayuk, and obtain what our standard is, and not be led by the pop culture. My beloved brother, if we could go to the next slide. Right. Rites of passage we talked about. Could we go to the next slide, my beloved brothers? Understanding, we said separation, it's a transition, and it's an accomplishment. Many, many studies have been done, and they say, how do you critical thinking, raise emotional intelligence for young men, young women? It's the same. You must give responsibility. You have to fight against the urge to do it yourself because it's easier. And you must role model, this is how you accomplish it, and give responsibility. Give responsibility at age appropriate responsibility. Next slide, please. So what were we talking about? We're talking about the rajul, competent adult man. Why? To marry two mu'min sisters. Mu'min sisters. We are at a marriage crisis in America right now. A marriage crisis. And by that I mean sisters ready to be married, qualified sisters, far outnumber qualified brothers. And the reason why, forgive me, Dr. Boss is not going to invite me back after such statements, which I'll edit, is because the young men are out doing what? They're out taking care of their needs without any sense of responsibility. May Allah guide us and correct us. Role models, fathers, upright brothers, and community leaders. What's the future of our community without upright men? What's the future of our families without upright men? And I hear often from some brothers, they say, brother, I'm good. My family, I'm good. They're very conservative. They're kind of on the dictator side. And what happens? Because they did this dictatorship, their children, they turn teenage years, they revolt against the parents because they didn't go about raising them with a proper thinking and with thinking, what happens outside of my children? My children need to be married. That's why this is a community issue. If I were to, I'm not going to ask, but if I say, how many people are going to go back to Pakistan, India, Iran, Afghanistan, no one would raise their hand to live. So this is our community. When we talk about marriage, where do you want to marry from? From your community. But why is the divorce rate still 50%, brothers? Often when I make this comment, and I'm using myself, and Sheikh, and our beloved Sheikh can attest to this, we brothers have more responsibility in marriage than sisters. Oftentimes we say, oh, she's a crazy woman, and blame the sisters. No, we have more responsibility on us, brothers. We do. The woman is looking to us how we respond. They're looking to us how we lead. They're looking to how we role model, my beloved brothers. And the only way we are going to understand the right way is through role modeling and mentorship. And this is why I love this community. I love this community because everyone has shortcomings, but there's, for example, the IT community started by Brother Jaffrey, Sayyid Jaffrey. This is a great example of how let's provide solutions for our community and make it easy. This is actually within lines of Futuwwah, providing a quick way for young men or sisters, but especially young men, to get employed that allows me to open up my life, right? A man with a plan. You have to have a plan in all dimensions of your life. Don't laugh if you see some of the words up there, my beloved brothers, right? There's a right way and a wrong way of everything, and you have to have a plan for each dimension of your life. Sisters and women, all women want a man with a plan. It doesn't mean we're a dictator. It means for every dimension of your life, you have a goal you're working towards, right? And that's what you're presenting on the table. Not having a life plan in your dimensions presents pressure on a woman, presents pressure on your wife, which a wife will handle, but inherently it will create friction. It always does. Next slide, my beloved brother. Right? So I talk often and encourage brothers and ask the question, what are your goals in life? You must write your goals down as much as you want to say, I know what my goal is. And I always say, right, inshallah is not a goal. Brother, I got that, inshallah. Inshallah, I'm going to. What is your actual goal, my beloved brothers? Within this very community, within our greater community, we have men who've reached many high levels. I'm looking at so many role models in front of me. Men who've achieved so much. For those, which I'm looking at many of you now, you must take those years of experience, that knowledge, and now inculcate it to young men. I can't tell you how many times, this is the truth, my teacher, Imam Nahidian, I ignored going to him for a simple issue. Maybe he would have gave me 2-3 sentences about a very important life decision. I ignored. I thought, I got it. A poison statement, my young brothers. I got it. I know it. I got it. Instead of just going and speaking with my elder, who I trust. I got it. And now I'm 5 years behind. I'm 6 years of pain over something my elder could have helped me with. If you have financial goals, brothers, within our community, we have millionaires, billionaires. Do you want financial success? A 5-minute conversation, a 10-minute conversation could help you out. Physical goals, emotional intelligence, as we talked about, social and spiritual. Islam is a deen of community. Our solutions are found within our community, my beloved brothers. Next slide, my beloved brother, right? Right? Our identity, right? As I started, postmodernism is seeking to infect us at every single angle. It's seeking to attack how I think of myself all the time. I'm not enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. If you go on social media for the past 10 years, it's all about these in addition to alpha male, red pill movement, there's also about like, to be a successful man, you have to be a multimillionaire and rich dad, poor dad, dad, this dad. And there's all these different people about money, the 10x factor, this factor. Brothers, none of this is important. What's important is someone who has the akhlaq. That's the man. The man who works multiple jobs, provides for his family, is a loving father, and his faith is ingrained and sealed. That's the real man. That's my role model. Many of us in here, maybe ourselves or our fathers, worked very laborious jobs to climb high levels. That's the real man. These are my heroes. We must ingrain and bring what it means back. That's why elders in this idea of respect, we must bring back. Respecting and kissing the hand of my elder is something we should do. These are the heroes right here. I'm looking before me. I see heroes. I see upright men. We must change our thinking. Next slide, please, my beloved brother. Right, next slide. We talk about establishing goals. Next slide, right? How do you write down your goals? You have to write your goal down, put an action plan. How will you hold yourself accountable and work towards that goal? Who will be there to guide you? Next slide, please, right? The tactics, right, for youth development are these elements, my friends. You're anchored by your spirituality and your worldview. You must establish a social regimen and group and surrounding that pushes you and projects you in the direction you want to go. Sports are very important. And critical thinking, as we said, is in a sense a part of adab. Next slide, please, my beloved brother. So when people ask me, which not often, right? But the minimum for a Muslim man ready to get married is this list of 11 right here. I have highlighted in green. What does that represent? That represents the akhlaq and that represents the adab. You say, brother, really? Yes, emotional intelligence is the crown of adab and akhlaq. That is a man knowing how to control his emotions at all times. Many times, an example I say, if you want to check the state of yourself, how are you responding when someone cuts you off in traffic? Right? Simple one. Are you responding with courtesy and safety and not taking it too serious? Or are you overreacting, right? These traits we all must have, and within our community we have it. I would say at home we already have these, right? But how many times have we had young men, they don't know basic car maintenance, they don't know. It's left on the wife. MashaAllah, the wife turns into a mechanic, right? Unfortunately, number 4 is quite embarrassing. Where is your gairo? Where is your, I don't want to use other words. We've had incidents where brothers are not standing up for their women in basic safety situations, right? Personal finance, how many times do we face or encounter young men who don't know the very basics of taxes? They don't even know what TurboTax is. Again, mashallah, the wife is an accountant, a lawyer, a mechanic, right? And on top of that, she's doing all the family obligations. And the crown, most important, is our understanding of our Quran. But this list, my beloved brothers, if you want to take a picture, these are skills. Most of these skills you can learn very quickly. But if you're going to get married, what's the whole goal for raising men the right way is so that at a late teenage years, they're ready to be married and ready to enjoy this life, inshallah. Next slide, please. And now, this is what I call, right, a very simple composition of the Futuwwah circle. As we said, Al-Futuwwah is based and defined solely around how the Rasulullah raised Imam Ali. This is what Futuwwah is built and based upon. The circle, which this is your respected humble brother's proposal, we must have a source of knowledge, and it has to be an upright, pure source, and that is our beloved Sheikh. Again, we are blessed, may Allah preserve our Sheikh. We must have a circle of upright men and role models who've gone through the test of life, who can transfer this knowledge. This community has it. And we have to build regular sessions, age appropriate, of man to man talk, man to young man talk. And we have to build activities and annual rites of passage. Annual rites of passage. What is the goal? The goal is to return back to Allah as an upright man. The goal is to be happy in this life. The goal is to have success in this life. But we have to make the intention, and we have to have a goal of how we are going to do it, right? Alhamdulillah, many masajid, they have programs, some tarbiyah programs. But we have to be intentional with men-only sessions. Men-only sessions where we talk to young men. My son may not want to hear something I'm going to say from me, but if he hears from a brother, his uncle, he may be, right? He may be more responsive to the hearing it from his uncle. We need to be cognizant of this and really build the village, active village. MashaAllah, we do it. This is happening. Men-only sessions. How many times, again, forgive me for this, do we see young men getting married? Forgive me. Marriage night, no one's ever talked to them about relationship. It's a taboo. We have to do away with this. Appropriate talk at the appropriate time, ahead of time, my beloved brothers. Ahead. We have to build these circles of al-Futuwwah. May Allah guide us. Next stage, please. So, mentorship is the bedrock of Islamic civilization. And absolutely. Mentorship is the basis of everything that we uphold in Islam. When we talk about Karbala, we're talking about the mentorship, literally. How many of the sons of Imam al-Hussein? The sons of Zainab. We're talking about them looking up to the role model. It's time for me to act. On and Muhammad, sons of Zainab, salamullah. These were young men who were men. They were men. This is what our role model is. We want a 14-year-old is not a boy. And I guess I'll conclude on this. And this is a touchy topic, so forgive me. A mother cannot teach a boy to be a man, just as I cannot teach my daughter to be a woman. We have to have men who are not missing in action, ready to lead by example. And this is the work. The work is day to day. The work is eating and being able to have conversations with young men about real topics. Mentorship has to be brought back into our community. The way to success in life is mentorship. In fact, we ask any of the doctors here, they had to do what? Residency. What is residency all about? It's about being with an expert who's going to show you in person the right way and the wrong way. This is very important. When we talk about master craftsmen, it's being in person with someone, with a master showing you the right way to do it the wrong way. We have to come back to this in-person learning and mentorship. This is our way forward, my beloved brothers. I will end here, and I ask that you please forgive me of my shortcomings. Again, I know there were many, and anything positive was not from me. The book I do recommend is from our beloved Imam Dawood Walid, called Al-Futuwwah, Raising Men into Sacred Manhood. I highly encourage you to get this book and read it, and you will find, again, from all of Islam, the basis of being a man is found in Rasulullah, in our A'imma, specifically this Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salam. And with that, Allah bless you all. Salawatu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions for a couple minutes. And please don't be bashful about any questions. Again, this is really about community dialogue. And one thing I appreciate from Dr. Abbas is as I said, this is about starting to talk about issues in a transparent way, a direct way, because we have solutions within our community right here. Our community is filled with incredibly sharp people who've overcome many challenges, and we have a valuable community. It's about starting conversation. I'm happy to take any questions and ask you that forgive me for my shortcomings and ignorance. Bismillah. Yes, brother.
Thank you again for the great talk. You mentioned about making one-year plans, 5-year plans. Can you talk with a little more specificity about how you go about doing that? Because I think a lot of us, we make plans for a day, a week, a month, maybe a semester.
Yes.
But 1 year, and especially 5 years, seem incomprehensible. So can you discuss a bit more about how you go about that?
MashaAllah, this is an excellent question. I'm going to repeat it. The brother said, how do I set my goal, my 1-year goal, my 5-year goal, when I'm completely immersed in my day-to-day actions, my weekly actions, my semester? The way you do that is this, right? This is something that's been taken away from this. You have to visualize where you want to be. Visualization is real, right? You have to visualize what is that goal spiritually. What is your goal educationally, for example? You say, I want to get my master's degree in engineering. I'm in this program. Those day-to-day and quarterly actions are the action plan. I have to go and I have to ace this class. I have to study, take this exam to get you to that master's degree. The master's degree may be 3 years away. The educational intellectual goal is what? Master's degree. I want to drop 10 pounds. I'm 10 pounds overweight. That's not for a lot more than that. I won't tell you how much, right? I need to establish how much, by what date, what actions will I do day to day to reduce this weight by this time, right? Spiritual goals. Spiritual goal is anchored in salat, everyone. Spiritual goal is anchored in salat. But, for example, you say, we start basic. I don't want to miss my Salatul Fajr. Right? I don't want to say raise a hand, show how many of us never miss Salatul Fajr. Right? We're not doing that. Start Salatul Fajr. If you did the Fajr, this is really Futuwwah. Ready? This is what we say in men-only session. If you want to go to the next level spiritually, really spiritual, wake up for tahajjud. Wake up for tahajjud. But you don't be extreme. You don't say, I'm going to wake up tahajjud every single day. Start once a week. Can I wake up for tahajjud? Right? You have 7 days to do it. Then 2 days. You get spiritual power if you wake up and take your salat serious. Long story short. To answer your question, visualize where do you want to be in that time frame. I recommend everyone 1-year goal, 5-year goal, 10-year goal. And then you come backwards and you break it into 6-month milestone. Right? You have to write it down, brother. Again, write this down. I encourage everyone to write down your goals in a diary form. Bismillah. Wonderful question, brother. Yes, brother.
For those looking to improve their foundations in faith, not just for men but also for women, what steps would you recommend them to take?
Foundations in faith, I take it you mean our Islamic theology. Is that what you mean? There's a lot of really good resources that are available, different institutions that we have available online. I highly recommend. Online is wonderful. I personally recommend if you find someone local, which we do. We have many brothers local, and our blessed sheikh, he can also recommend us, if not we establish sessions, someone local that you look up to already, to establish sessions but make it specific. Make the session specific. If you don't have that ability, of course there's online resources, but finding a direct teacher, I highly recommend, inshallah. Allah bless you.
I have a question. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My question was just on what brother said. How do you build consistency among young people? You know, sometimes, obviously, me personally, I feel disciplined, right? Like, I've tried many things, but like sometimes when I do things, I cannot keep up with it. Sometimes I have plans for like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, but I fail after a week. How do you build consistency?
This is a beautiful question. Accountability is what the brother's saying, and to have the persistence to keep going. A brother of mine that I know that Allah bless this gentleman. I'm giving you a very, it may sound extreme. He has a picture of Imam Ali, right? May or may not be acceptable, not of his face, but it shows Imam Ali. And he looks at this every single day, and he says, I'm aiming to be this. Physical, for example. This man, he achieves various goals, but every day he wakes up and he says, I want to be this. And then he says, how would Imam Ali talk to me? I'm being very frank. He's being that serious. And maybe you say, I'm not driven that much. You have to become driven that much. The only way to build the drive is start with something to become consistent at. That's what I say. Take the Fajr and don't miss Fajr. Start with the Fajr. Come consistent at Fajr. Take something and be consistent. Maybe you need to take whatever it is you want to do and break it into a smaller step, right? Break it into something smaller that you can accomplish and be consistent with. Hold yourself accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable. If you don't, and accountability comes from belief. Accountability comes from belief, right? I don't know if that helped you out, right? Inshallah, Allah bless you. Yes, sister. It's a wonderful question. Again, the sister's question is this. Beyond this lecture, what's the practical implementation? Essentially, for young children, from what I was thinking. Activities. That's what it is. Camping is a great activity with men. Forgive me, sister. They need to be young men camping activities. What we've done in Manassas Mosque, staying overnight at the masjid. I want to tell you guys a secret. You may not know this. You see this beautiful rug in front of us, right? Underneath it is a nice hard floor. And when you sleep on a nice hard floor at night, trust me, I don't call it a sleep necessarily. I call it thinking. But there's a lot of activities, believe it or not, we can start doing right here, sister. Again, forgive me. What we've implemented even at Manassas, having people clean the masjid. And of course, you're like, well, yeah, we let them take the vacuum cleaner out. No. It's time to roll the sleeves up and go into the bathrooms and build in some humbleness and scrub in the toilets. And forgive me, you have to do this with care and not every day. Camping is a great activity. Sports is a great activity with like-minded community members, right? And we have resources too. For working out, an upright Muslim brother leads wrestling. That's what we do in our community. He's an upright Muslim man teaching wrestling amongst other men. Camping, staying overnight at the masjid, but putting some work in and having some talk about concepts relevant to them. Inshallah. Allah bless you all. Yes, brother. Yes. It's a very good question. The brother was asking about the slide when it said, how do you intermix with society as a Muslim? Unfortunately, forgive me. I'm going to give an extreme example, which I know everyone will be able to understand. I have an Iranian background, and in Los Angeles, I have a lot of family too. And Tehrangeles, right? So I think when I say assimilation is an extreme in a bad way, means I give up my values and my identity, and I keep what? My game, my fesenjun, and my cultural activities, but my actual identity was based on my worldview is surrender to what? White man. But actually, not against, I'm also white, I'm also Caucasian. We have a Caucasian brother, and I love you, my beloved brother. There's nothing, but there's this sense of I have to assimilate with the pop culture. I share this with Latin American friends as well too. Latin American friends often say they choose either between black culture or white culture. I'm saying maintain your culture. And integration, brother, is this. The areas that don't go against our deen, we interact with, but I'm not going to give up my value systems to fit in. I'm not going to start drinking, for example, because I have to go and I have partners in the business I'm doing and they're drinking. No, that's assimilation. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go to certain activities or events because it's a business arrangement or everyone else is doing. I'm going to say, Dr. Abbas had made some comments at a previous one. I'm going to be firm in who I am. Integration means we're in this society as what? Muslim, then American. Muslim, then American. I hope that answers the question. And the reason of Muhammad Ali is because that picture, Muhammad Ali was unapologetically, I'm Muslim, this is who I am, and I'm black. I'm a black Muslim, and this is who I am. I believe in Allah and Rasulullah, and I'm not apologizing to you. Right? I'm not saying all of us, we have to go around and verbally be that way, but I'm saying how we live our life has to be integrated fashion, where we're not rolling over to the pop culture. I'll give you another example of a good one of assimilation. Unfortunately, Iranians in LA come to mind. Halloween, Christmas, you name it. And I'm like, brother, I know you're Ali Reza, I know you're Muslim. Oh, brother, it's not a big deal. It's just the culture. He doesn't realize he's raising his kid to do Halloween, this, and that. It comes to Ashura, and his kid has no affection for Ashura. It comes to Mawlid of Rasulullah. You'll be lucky if they smile on that day. The Prophet was born. But they have a Christmas tree in the house. This is assimilation. There's no good assimilation, brother. I'll put it that way, right? There's no good assimilation means you're forfeiting your principles and your values of your identity. We don't do that. We integrate, and is a middle ground. We find a balance. Allah bless you, brother. I hope that helped. Yes, brother. Absolutely. I don't want to go into too much details about what we've done, right, because it's part of the unknown, but I will give you an example. May Allah bless Imam Dawood. So I've encourage rites of passage that we establish annually in all communities. An example is this. It has to be unknown. You come to a camp location, you come to the masjid at a time when you know you're going to be here, no one else, a group of men. And you have elders and you have men who are going through the rites of passage. So it starts light. Let me give you an example. You starts with cleaning the bathrooms, cleaning the floors, staying up and maybe hearing some talk about subjects you don't want to talk about, emotional subjects you don't want to talk about. Then, during the day, you go outside in the cold right now, and you wrestle in the cold, and you can't give up. And there's no chai, there's no coffee, there's water, and there's old bread, mashallah, and you wrestle in the snow. Then you get done with that, another rites of passage, you have to be with your father, and you're blindfolded, and you have to shoot arrows, for example. I'm giving out some of my secrets, right, from my chest, but it's more controlled. What is the point of this exercise that I do in a rites of passage? You have to give complete trust to your father, for example, to guide you. And you're blindfolded, shooting arrow. Archery is a very metaphysical, spiritual activity. Then what's another one? Getting in a tank filled with ice, cold water outside in the freezing, and sitting there for 2 minutes and putting your head underwater. I'll share with you all what we did. This is young men, 10, 12, 13. We took them to a rites of passage. The pinnacle was getting in an ice tank, holding up the Zulfikar while their head was underwater. Ice tank, my friends. It was below freezing. This makes the hair grow on your chest. They were away from their mom. They couldn't scream for mom. They were surrounded by men, and ready to top it off, their dads were there too with them. So I'm letting you all some of out. Trust me, if we do a rites of passage, it will be different. But that's an example, brother. Going to the unknown, hiking is a great one as well too, where you build in challenges. You have to have a challenge you don't know about. That's the rites of passage, my beloved brother. Yeah, I'm going to ask the sister. Yes, sister? Last question. This is maybe one of the best questions that we've had tonight, because this is part of the crisis that we're facing. What can single mothers do for their sons? We have a lot of single mothers. And the answer is this. I'm looking at the elders right here. We have to have a community response to help single sisters who have young men be around upright Muslim men. This is a community responsibility. A community responsibility. I'll tell you a true story that happened in Manassas, not at Aga Nahidian's masjid. A sister came for salat. She had 2 young boys who were crying and screaming. She's a single mother. The imam stopped before he started prayer. He ordered the woman to leave because her children were making noise. She said, I want my kids here. I'm a single mom. I just want them here during the prayer. He said, you have to leave or I'm calling the police. He called the police, mashallah, to come and get a single mom with her children, mashallah. This is the state of our crisis with single mothers. Nobody cares about single mothers. Nobody cares. Whose responsibility is this to respond to? It's our responsibility. It's our men. We have, if you know, we have to stand up. This is a community responsibility we will be held accountable for. This is a big responsibility. As well, sisters, if you know, you have to find outlets and bring this to the attention of your local masajid. You have to. You have to find the uncles. You have to find, if a single mother, the biggest thing I could say is find, if she was in the middle of nowhere, non-Muslim community, find a good sport instructor who's an upright man and get your kid in that sport. A man who has discipline but teaches sport, self-defense. This is the biggest one. Allah bless you, sister, for the question. I'm sorry, last one, brother. No? Allah bless you. Salawatu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Last question, brother. Bismillah. MashaAllah. So this is really about self-esteem. The core of this is self-esteem, right? The answer to do this is getting your public speaking, being in front of your peers, speaking publicly, right? This just comes through, right? Good old practice, doing it repeatedly. At the core is self-esteem. So you can have a brother who's quiet, his self-esteem is solid. This is also part of the Futuwwah. This is a core part. You don't have to be the loud talking brother all the time with the long beard. No, the brother who's composed and quiet, but he's ready to be in front of anyone and talk, right? Because, again, his worldview is anchored, his identity is anchored. The real answer, practical answer is you have to practice, you have to practice, you have to practice. Inshallah. Allah bless you all. Salawatu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Jazakallah khair, brother. Thank you so much. If we could please have a loud salawat for brother Mohsen Ibrahimi. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inshallah, it will be a great privilege to call our respected Sheikh Abdul Jalil for a few words, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Three quick points I want to mention. The first and the foremost is to thank our dear brother Ibrahim for coming and sharing his knowledge with us. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase his knowledge, and may the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase his tawfiqat so he can serve more and more of our community to become more men than what we need to be, inshallah. The second thing is, if I want to summarize what my dear brother said from the Quranic point of view about being a man, there are many ayahs talks about it. One of them, Allah says, رِجَالٌ يُحِبُّونَ أَن يَتَطَهَّرُوا. That's one ayah. Another ayah says, رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْعٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. The word rijal in Arabic means, it's a plural of man. In Arabic, when they say the word rajul, meaning a man, but the word rajul is driven from the word rijil. Rajul means a man. Rijil means legs. In Arabic, a man is called a man because a real man is who stands on his leg to get things done. That's the meaning of a man. He stands on his legs and get things done. And that is why in the Quran it's called rijal, 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 to mean a true man is the one who gets things done. That is number two. Number three, I just want to clarify something very important. I know my brother mentioned that a woman cannot raise a man. I hope my sisters don't take it literally. A woman can raise a man. Some women can raise a man. As a matter of fact, some women raise prophets. One of them, Maryam alayhi salam. She was never been married. She gave birth to Isa. She raised him to become the best man on the planet. That's possible. Now, then there are other women from the Quranic point of view, they were single mothers, but they couldn't do it alone. So what they did, they look and reach out to men they trust to help them do the job. That's also fine too. And one best example in the Quran is the mother of Maryam alayhi salam. After she gave birth to Maryam, she looked and said, I can't do it alone. What is she? She's reached out to Zakaria alayhi salam, and she asked him to help in raising this woman, which he did. So all of this is possible. So yes, many women cannot, but there are women who can raise, especially mu'minat, who have example from the Quran and Ahlul Bayt, can be possible done, inshallah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help our community to become who Allah wants us to become, inshallah. And once again, I want to thank our dear brother Ibrahim for all your effort and your knowledge. And inshallah, we hope that this is not your last come to visit. We hope to see you more often to come and share your knowledge with us, as this community is thirsty for knowledge. Thank you so much, and I'd like to thank all of you for coming. I know Friday night is your your night. You want to rest and chill out, but with all of that, you came to hear and also gain some knowledge. That is absolutely a great part of you of seeking knowledge. May Allah bless all of us, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless our community and continue to bless all our families, inshallah. Bin Nabiyyi wa Ali Muhammad, sallu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
If we could please have Brother Nahal Naqvi come and lead us in Dua Faraj. Sallu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ahsan. If we could kindly request help with putting the chairs away.